Oh, we just wanted to test. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
It's very, 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 mashallah, the positivity and the vibe, I can already feel it, mashallah. This beautiful stream that we're going to start tonight, the second part of last week's stream, a very interesting stream, and very honored to have you guys join us. I will be hosting today. Inshallah. I hope no one has any issue with that. I'm nice. I don't bite.
Alhamdulillah. You better share your
I'll
samosas
try.
though. You have
We're
to share
fine with
samosas
it.
though,
It's
brother.
fine.
Yeah. Correct giant
So,
samosas. Hey, Fatima.
He didn't bring any. I'm starving. What kind of host is this?
inshallah, they're in the oven. I don't know
I
if
mean,
they're cooked in the oven, but okay. So, bismillah. So today's agenda is going to be, like always, just free thoughts, getting what is happening around, because we have people um, from all over the world to hear what is happening, how they're seeing things, what has been changing, what's the news. And also, what we'd like to do today as well is to review an interview that that was done uh, by, I mean, the brother Mustafa C, the brother who joined us last stream as well, was stopped on the street and was interviewed, and that is a, I will leave that for everyone to discover, but a very interesting, and it will basically just reveal a lot of things. So that would be interesting to watch and give our thoughts on. Um, so I would just say, anyone wants to say something, um, feel free. Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah.
Sister Fatima.
hello, guys. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope you're well.
Wa
Oh, we
alaikum
lost you, Abby,
salam.
for a second there.
No.
Okay, so obviously we have to be a bit more careful this time because the certain words that we were advised to use differently last time are even more highlighted now, and I know I was the main criminal in that because I kept just saying the words for what they are. So we need to be a bit more careful now, guys.
What kind of
Um,
words were they?
so obviously we've got hummus.
So we
Oh,
can't
is
say
that it?
Hamas.
Isn't
We
that in
can
the
Yeah,
say
samosas?
hummus.
Isn't
We
that
say
hummus.
something in
hummus.
the hummus? Isn't that in the samosas? I don't know.
Hummus
No,
is
please do not put hummus in the samosa. Toba astaghfirullah. Too, too, too.
okay.
Astaghfirullah.
We don't want any of that. But yeah, just anyway. And there's also some phrases that we have quite fondly used, like from the place to the place.
So
Somewhere
around the
we'll go.
lake,
Yeah.
around the
Please go
lake to the
around the
island,
lake to the
to the
stream.
island,
Yeah,
to the island.
that's
Okay.
right. Anyway, That was just a little bit of a pre-one for me because I saw a post today about how there are specific teams that have been put on social media now. So when these words are highlighted, we are just more, we're baited essentially, and the views can be quite limited. I think this week has been probably the most intense one out of them all, and I feel I need to stay. I don't know. I feel out of my bounds when I say that as well, sitting in my safe, comfortable home. But the intensity that this week has brought has actually, I think, frightened a lot of us. And it's brought us into the reality that the world we thought we lived in, a post-colonial, democratic, free speech world, the reality of that bubble has very quickly popped. I think for the people that, Gen Z liberals that truly believe that that's their world now, even they've
Yes.
come to realize it's not. And
Mm.
the beauty and the power of movement that we have with the boycotts right now, it's very negative, but it's also showing the power of the people. So it's very emotionally heavy. It's very confusing. And I think we need we need uplifting, but in a positive way this week,
Inshallah
in
ta'ala.
my opinion, inshallah. And
Inshallah.
I'll let you go on, Abby, before I take over the whole introduction period.
No, it's okay. I thought I could talk, man. You've taken over my place now.
I hate when I'm put in
Alhamdulillah.
the spot because I feel like I have to fill in every second, and I really go
Ah,
for it.
Alhamdulillah. It has been a very difficult week. Um, Look, at the end of the day, I think there's been a lot of people who are actually coming onto social media and attacking people on purpose just to make people angry. And I think that's where I was attacked as well on social media. Um, and people calling me lots of names and so on and so forth. And Alhamdulillah, you know what? I dealt with them very calmly, cool, calm, and collectively. Some of them I shut up on the spot and they never ever replied again. But there's this one gentleman um, who has been slowly now having a cool, calm conversation with me for the past 2 days. And he's been literally attacking me since Saturday afternoon, all the way till midnight. I had 6 Zionists attacking me all the way through on social media. And but Alhamdulillah, you know what? I went through it. I got through it. And then obviously you know what? I watched this YouTube interview. Is it LBC, the news
Yeah.
channel? Yes.
Hmm.
There was a Labour politician and a Conservative politician. Now, the Labour representative was a white female lady who actually participated in the protests on Saturday in London City. The Conservative politician was an Indian, Asian, non Muslim, and he, you could tell very clearly that he holds the same ideology as Suella. And he was like,
Mm.
no, these are terrorist guys. If you hold the Palestinian flag, what is it that you're representing? And if you say from the lake to the stream or whatever it is, they're trying to say that we want to, um, you know, get rid of every single Jew in the country of Israel, and that's what it means. And it was complete misrepresentation of every single thing that the Muslims say or do. Complete misrepresentation. And this is exactly what's going on, you know, during this week. A lot of non Muslim Asian politicians have started to speak out in the same tone as Rishi Sunak and Suella. And it's been going on. And
It's
there's been
incredibly
a
narcissistic, isn't it?
very, very
Knowing
much
that
so.
you are the representation of the exact thing you're accusing the opposition of.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. And you see, the thing is, these people are all a part of an organization. And because they're part of the same organization, they have to sing from the same hymn book. Now, when you become such a high level politician, you cannot get to that level without being a part of that organization. Now, I don't know if I should actually mention the name of that organization. No, actually, I won't. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So, when you basically enter into this organization, they all meet on a regular basis and they create this narrative themselves that this is the way we're going to go. This is how it is. We must stick to the narrative, and every single one of us must follow these rules. And no matter what happens, doesn't matter what we think, this is the narrative. We stick to it. We use these words. These are the words that we need to use, and that's it. And this is how they basically progress with the, well, the trying of the dismantling of these protests that we're basically doing every single weekend. So they're all trying in every single way to try and dismantle the collective of the different races, the different religions that are getting together every single weekend. That's what
Yeah.
they're trying to achieve here, you know. And you must understand. I've had some intelligence today. Um,
MashaAllah.
no, seriously, on a serious level, on a serious level. Samreen, you know my background. Um, I've had some intelligence today from inside, and there are words coming out to say that the Secret Service, they're going to be doing something very quickly, very soon, to try and dismantle the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims that are actually standing side by side right now. They're going to do something within this country, and it could be in London, it could even be in a Jewish area. That they're going to try and do something where it actually puts people against the Muslim people to try and prove to them that the Muslims are terrorists and try and break this, um, congregation up
Yeah, we
in a
have a
massive.
unity at the moment, don't we?
We do, and they're trying to break it up,
Yeah.
and they're going to do
Sorry,
So
Salam.
something to try and break this
Sorry,
up.
guys. Sorry, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Mustafa, are you hearing us well
Wa
now?
alaikum assalam. Assalamu
Wa
alaikum.
alaikum salam rahmatullah. Yes, I can hear clearly. Sorry, I don't know what was
MashaAllah.
wrong previously.
Welcome,
Uh,
welcome.
How is everybody?
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam
Alaikum.
rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. How are you? Are you well?
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I've had some great information today, which is going to be really good for the show, inshallah. So I look forward to
Alhamdulillah, which is
imparting that.
good, which is
Subhanallah.
good. Yeah, which is
Subhanallah.
excellent. So this is what they're actually planning. This is what they're trying to do right now. So they're putting these plans together and they're trying to execute it within the next couple of weeks. So this is exactly what they're going to be doing. So hence, obviously, as soon as I got that information as well, I'm also going to put a video out tomorrow to try and basically, tell Muslims to come onto social media and try and basically promote Islam to the most beautiful thing that it is, because we need to. We've got a voice. Allah's given us a voice. We should actually voice our words in a beautiful way and prove to the people that it's not us who's the terrorists, it's you people. We
Our
must voice it.
behavior is going to be a big factor in this.
It
You know,
is. It's
it's
going to be
not
a
so,
massive factor.
yes, social
Subhanallah.
media. Sorry.
Subhanallah. Sorry. No problem. No problem. Anyone can join. I just wanted to give Sister Samreen
Yes,
a
please,
word.
Samreen.
MashaAllah. Let's hear from South Africa.
Thanks, Jazakallah. So, on what Abe said, Abe, this is not new. So,
Yeah.
over the last couple of days, there have been multiple arrests made in the USA, in Germany. So, we've seen that protesters are now being arrested for protesting. And it
Yes.
doesn't have, it's not violent protests. It's literally people going to Grand Central Station, and protesting. These are not even Muslim people that are protesting. These are Jewish people for
Yes.
peace, and they are being arrested just for standing up for Palestine. So I think that all the countries that are saying, while we are pro-Israeli, they are going to start having these arrests done for people who are now protesting in the streets or whatever the case is, to follow suit with those countries.
Very much so. They've already
Subhanallah.
started. I think, Brother Mustafa, were you in London at the weekend?
Yes, Ahi, Alhamdulillah. I think Brother Muhammad, I don't know, is he due on the show soon or
Yes, please carry on. Please carry on.
no? I mean, is Brother Muhammad coming onto the show shortly? Because I was on the.
Brother Muhammad, unfortunately, Brother Muhammad is just is a little bit delayed. He's going to be, I think, able to hear and follow, inshallah. But I can't
Yeah, he won't be
confirm that
joining
he's
us
going
for
to
a
join.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's a bit busy. So inshallah ta'ala, but he is in the background. He is in the background.
he's always, mashallah.
Yeah, mashallah.
Go, Mustafa. Is there something that you wanted to say? Go on,
Yeah, I mean,
brother.
what time is the show going live? Is it 7 p.m. start or?
We're
The
live
show is
already,
live.
brother.
Oh,
We are
the show
live.
is live. Okay,
Yes, yes.
subhanallah. I didn't realize. So yeah, because I think Brother Muhammad wanted to go through my discussion with a well-known.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I at the beginning, I think 15 minutes ago, I announced that we're going to watch that interview, inshallah, and review it and comment on it, inshallah. So we're
Mhm.
very glad and happy, mashallah, brother Mustafa, that you were able to join us today. We had a stream yesterday as well, where there was a lot of very important things that were said. Was also a roller coaster of input. Sister Marwa from Egypt joined us yesterday as well.
Oh,
Um,
mashallah.
so yes, it's
Okay, brilliant.
we're
So
happy to, brother Mustafa.
fantastic. Okay, it's just I wanted to share some new information which has come to light. A number of interesting things. When I spoke yesterday and during the protest, which was attended by 500,000 people by conservative estimates. So I went by with one brother who's got a YouTube channel called Sam Dawa. He frequents the Speaker's Corner as well every Sundays, and he delivers very good Dawa content where Muslims often have discussions with non-Muslims in a variety of different topics, which I'm sure you brothers and sisters have seen. So at the protest in particular, we met a unbeknown to me, we approached a reporter or what appeared to be a reporter with a professional-looking mic and a cameraman. And unbeknown to us at the time, when we spoke to him, I think the other brother suggested that he could be a reporter representing the Israeli perspective. But it turns out that this reporter was a chap called Ezra Levant, who is a well-known, apparently, affiliate of the far right in Canada, which the Zionists use as a pretext to spread their mayhem. So they appeal to the indigenous right-wing people, and they infiltrate the right-wing people, and then use them to propel anti-Muslim sentiments in Canada.
A'udhu billah. A'udhu billah, brother
Yeah,
Mustafa.
subhanallah.
Just 1 second. Hold on to that thought. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, brother Aladdin. Welcome. We're very happy you are able to join.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, akhi, I just joined you because I would like to share something with you. You see, I want to remove this
Inshallah.
out of my chest. I did not open my mouth that much in regard to the conflict in my country, where my family are suffering right now, while I'm talking to you. You see, I want to speak about those things. And maybe this is the first time I speak about it in YouTube. Nobody think of this war from the Jewish. Jew and Zionists are fighting.
Akhi Aladdin, I think, could you repeat?
Children.
Because I think there's a lack in your mic. Could you repeat
What
what
are you
you...
Is it still lacking?
Yeah,
I
just 30
said-
seconds ago. Yeah, inshallah.
Zionist Israeli and killing innocent Palestinians in the name of their religion. A holy religious war for them. So what they are doing, killing everybody, infant, suckling, women, children, babies, elderly, even animals, even plants, because that was the command of their own God in their own holy book to do it. And even Netanyahu just quote the Bible yesterday using some of those verses, and he was using the story of the Amalekite who were totally killed. And some of the rabbis, even in their channels, especially in TikTok, spoke about this, and he says you have to kill them all. And he quotes some verses from the Jewish Tanakh. So I will quote some of those verses and I'll read them for you. And that's what they are exactly doing in not only Gaza, in the entire Palestine since 1947. I'll quote some of them, please, brother, if you don't mind.
Go
Number
on,
one,
brother. Jazakallah
yeah.
khair.
If you read in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3, that's what Netanyahu quote. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. So he said, kill them all, destroy them all, don't leave anyone alive. That's the Amalekite. That's the example that Netanyahu used. If you
Could
read
you
in
could you
Psalm,
give me the reference? A reference? I'll just try to share the screen as well, inshallah.
1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. Number 2,
So
Psalms
first Psalms and then 15.
chapter 15, verse 3. If you want, I'll post them for you in private, all, and you can post them one by one. If you want, I can post some of them in private chat. So you can
Yes,
share it.
inshallah, that would be good. Yes, inshallah.
Okay. I'll post them right now in private chat while I read them. Now you receive them all in private chat. Some of them. I will not go
Inshallah.
much. That's first one. First Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. It says, kill them all. Destroy everything. Even animals, infant, suckling, woman, everything. Don't leave anything alive. Psalms chapter 137, verse 9. It says, oh, the happiness of him who doth seize and hath dashed the suckling on the rock, the suckling on the enemy. That's why they destroy buildings over the head of those suckling, because their book command them to do that. Their God ordered them to do this to their enemy. Ezekiel chapter 23, verse 47. It says, burn up their houses with fire, slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. And that's what's happening in Gaza now. First Samuel chapter 22, verse 19, it says, he also killed the people of Nob, the city of the priests, using his sword. He killed men and women, children and infants, and sucklings, cows, donkey, and sheep. And I can show you more. Hosea chapter 13, verse 16, it says, they shall fall by the sword, fall by the sword. Their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their woman with child shall be ripped up. See? So this is what they are doing right now in Gaza. So this is what happened when Netanyahu quote the story of the Amalek, which the Bible, their Tanakh says, kill them all, destroy them all, destroy them, burn them all. So this is more than a holy war for them. It's a religious war for them. And even they quote that so many Jewish rabbis, including Netanyahu, used also what they call the prophecy of Isaiah to build the third temple. And what's happening in Gaza, they believe that's one of the signs. And there's another sign coming, which is the enemy of Israel will attack them from the north. So this far north, they said maybe it's Russia. So they said that's what's happening in Gaza now, that was prophesied in their book, in the book of Isaiah, to rebuild for the coming back of their Messiah. So it's all about holy war for them. It's a religious, which a lot of people are. So I wanted to share this. There are so many verses actually. I've seen the Jewish rabbi who spoke just 3-4 days ago in TikTok, and his video was viral all around YouTube. And what he said, I think he quote Judges chapter 20 verse. I'm not mistaken. What that? He quote Judges chapter 20 verse something, where it says, "Kill them all, destroy them all, don't leave anyone alive. They should be all chopped. They should be all killed." And he spoke about that. And he said, "Show no mercy to them." He said it by his mouth. Show no mercy. And he quote Joshua also chapter 6 verse 21. It says, "The people utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep and ass, with the age of the sword." He quoted those verses. You see, he quoted them just to justify the killing of those innocent in Gaza. So this is very, very clear. It's already a holy war for them. It's a war in the name of their religion, in the war in the name of Judaism. So this point that everybody should know about, should learn about, should be exposed. So they keep saying Muslims, Muslims, holy war, Muslims, jihad, Muslims. That's what they are doing now. This is what they are doing to us. And nobody's talking about it. SubhanAllah. I just wanted to share this here with you. And I hope that everybody can learn about that and can speak about this. And they are always complaining about October 7. Hamas started October 7. No. The war did not start October 7. The war started on 1947, 75 years ago. How old is Hamas? Hamas was born in 1987. Hamas came to existence in 1987. From 1947 up to 1987, Israeli were killing, torturing Palestinians daily, even suckling, infant, everybody. Palestinians were crying for the entire world. They cried for United Nations. They cried for European Union. They cried for Russia. They cried to Arab League. They cried to AU, to everybody. And nobody cares about them. Nobody look at them. Now, when they decided to stand up and defend themselves, they start calling them terrorists. But what's happening in Ukraine, they are not terrorists. They are freedom fighters. Ukrainian, when they're invaded by Russian, they have the right to defend. That's illegal occupation. But they're under as a Palestinian since 1947 until nowadays. More than 10 Palestinians outside cannot go back home. No. They are not a freedom fighter. They are terrorists. Look at the double standard. Instead of saying that is equal to Israel and Palestinian resistance is equal to Ukraine, and they say no, Palestinians are equal to the Russian, and Israel are equal to the Ukrainian. Look at the double standards that they are doing, and how they brainwash. So I think that is the least for you, an English speaker, who can speak about those things in the world.
Jazakallahu khair. Akhi, wallah, this is
Why is it no one is okay, brother? You want to say something? I'll stop.
no. It's just because you were cutting out a bit. MashaAllah, not. This is, you see, subhanallah, this has to come from Muslims. Like, we have to go in their scriptures and show them astaghfirullah. And then the double standards have been there for a very, very long time. And it's
Absolutely.
it keeps doubling the double standards. Subhanallah.
So let me talk about those things, ya akhi. I'm wondering, as a Palestinian, originally Palestinian, why don't no one is talking about the illegal settlement built on the Palestinian lands in West Bank? Why nobody's talking about how they humiliate us Palestinians on Israeli checkpoint daily, which they called in Hebrew mahsub? Why don't they talk about the United Nations resolutions? How many United Nations resolutions that Israeli don't comply with? I'll give you an example, such as resolution number 194 in November 1948, which says the right of return of Palestinian refugees to Palestine. That's since November 1948. And this resolution until nowadays was not complied by the Israeli. Why nobody's talking about it? Resolution 424 in 1967, the illegal occupation of Israeli to Palestinian land in West Bank. Nobody's talking about it. Resolution 904 in 1994, protecting the Palestinian in the occupied territory from the Israeli Zionists after the Abrahamic massacre. Why nobody's talking about that? December 30, 2022, United Nations resolution against Israel at ICG. 87 countries votes in favor, including China and Russia, against the illegal settlement and illegal occupation of Palestinian lands and the holy city of Jerusalem, which was supposed to be as an East Jerusalem, capital of Palestine, which they spoke about in Oslo Accord. Nobody's talking about it. Why don't you talk about the United Nations security for its part and the way they deal with Israel? Resolution number 8478 in August 29, 1980, which include non-recognition of Israeli law regarding Jerusalem and called on countries to withdraw their diplomatic missionaries from the city. Also, resolution number 15, point number 36, on October 28, 1981, declaring that any changes in Jerusalem area are illegal against the international law, and that such action are an obstacle to achieving just or reach peace. United Nations Resolution 2334, issued in December 23, 2016, confirms that Israeli establishment of settlements in the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967, including East Jerusalem, has no legal legitimacy and demands that Israel immediately stop all settlement activities and not recognize any changes to the June 4 borders, June 1967 borders. They did not comply with it. Nobody is minding them. They forgot all about Jerusalem and they declared as complete capital for them. To hell with you, Palestinian, and with all United Nations resolution. East Jerusalem, don't dream of it. It's the eternal capital of Israel. One of the most important Oslo Accord on September 13, 1993. Palestinians were promised by Israel, by USA, by EU, by Russia, by United Nations, that the eastern part of Jerusalem would be their future capital. And the Palestinian leadership during that time confirmed it is firm position many times by saying there is no Palestinian state without East Jerusalem as its capital, in accordance with resolution of international United Nations law. But they did not comply with this. And nobody mind them. And they are still doing it on and on. You know, if I'll talk to you about those resolutions that Israeli violated, there are more than 70. There are more than 70. And nobody's talking to them. But when Iraqi violated 2 or 3 United Nations violation, they destroyed the entire Iraq. And Iraq is still suffering until nowadays. Because of 2 resolutions that Saddam Hussein then refused and violated. But Israel violate more than 70, they are above the law. We have the right to do it. See, those things that the West should know about, people in the West should learn about. So I hope, you, as people living in the West, you can copy all those things and share it with those people in the West, so they will learn about the fact and the truth that nobody knows about. I'm sorry, Akhi, I spoke too much.
No, Habibi, this is
Alhamdulillah, bro. It's very informative. Jazakallah
exactly.
khair for sharing so
Don't
much.
apologize. Yeah.
Barakallah fikum, and step out, inshallah, because Fajr is very near here. Almost after 30 minutes.
Jazakallah khair, brother. Thank you so much
وإياكم
for sharing, and you're always welcome.
وإياكم.
And
بارك الله
Jazakallah khair, we feel the emotions. And yes, subhanallah, this is a wake up
Just
call.
pray for them and share this with everybody.
Inshallah, ya
That's the least we can do,
Inshallah.
inshallah.
Absolutely.
Assalamu
Inshallah, ya Rab.
Wa alaikum
Jazakallah khair.
salam wa rahmatullah.
You see, I think what's happening, generally speaking, is that more and more people are becoming aware now. I've been led to believe that all of this week, there are going to be vigils taking place outside Downing Street, organized by different organizations, some Muslim, others non-Muslim, as a recognition of the events that are occurring. Even this is happening on a daily basis outside Downing Street, where the protest took place on Saturday, not too far, where the Embankment station is in central London. So the brother highlighted some fantastic points, Brother Alauddin. And this was substantiated when I heard Benjamin Netanyahu make a reference to even the Bible makes mention there's a time for peace and there's a time for war. So we must defend ourselves, just similar to how they misquote Surah 9, verse 5, which makes reference to kill them wherever you find them. And then often this is miscontextualized, and often the Islamophobes use this as evidence that Islam purports to violence against or to kill non-Muslims. But if you read the context, it's far from that case. So when people then read the context, then they understand. So, but I think what it is, I'm noticing more and more people are understanding now, slowly but surely, the hypocrisy of the West. Even their own people now are understanding. So this is always a very important point that, Brother Alauddin, you must share this with your non-Muslim audience, make them aware. Now, something has come to light today, which during the protest, I was actually chanting, or rather I had a loudspeaker being given to me. And I was making use of Surah 5, verse 82, where it says right at the beginning, and I was repeatedly saying this, that the issues we are encountering in Palestine today, you can and the lack of support or rather the support that they are receiving from Western governments, Britain and America, particularly here in the UK as we live in the UK, the unwavering support of Rishi Sunak, particularly. We're having our answers all answered, which I've noted in Surah 5, verse 82. And just to substantiate that point, and it's as if Allah has given me some form of further information on a continuous basis. Today, I saw two very interesting things. Number one, I'm not sure if people are aware here, but the US presidential candidates are due to put their positions forward in terms of the US presidency. Now, today there was an Anglo-Jewish lobby conference taking place in the US, attended by a Indian person who is actually standing for a US president, Republican nominee of the US presidency. His name is Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy. He is the new kid on the block in terms of the analogy of Rishi Sunak. Now, as I find it so fascinating, the correlating and the very same examples. Britain historically is known as the father, and America is known as the son. These are just common euphemisms used to describe their relationship. We can see how Rishi Sunak was put into the position of prime minister through the promptings of individuals such as Michael Gove, the Zionist leader, who propelled him as a prime minister, even though he wasn't elected as a prime minister. If you recall, when Liz Truss, the prime minister of this country, she only served 7 weeks of her term before they replaced her and put Rishi Sunak, the Indian prime minister of the UK. Now they're doing the exact same thing in the US, where this guy, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's harnessing support from the Anglo Jewish lobby in the US, who have a major voice in the Republican Party. And that's people who may or may not be aware. Just like we have Conservative and Labour in the UK, in America, they have a reference to Republicans and Democrats. So this Indian guy is standing in the presidency, and he's lobbying the Jewish lobby in addition to the Christian evangelicals as well, to drum up their support. He was making reference to Islamic terrorism today as well, in his interview with Piers Morgan, which is available on YouTube, and I highly recommend people watch it. So the reason for me mentioning this is I can very much foresee that he is an incumbent US president. If not at this forthcoming election, then perhaps the election after. He's still quite young. He's only 38, which is pretty young in terms of becoming a prospective leader, just as Rishi Sunak is quite young. I think he's in his early 40s. Whereas American presidents normally are, in their, at the earliest, or they'll be in their late 60s, into their 70s, just like Joe Biden is. So just to reiterate that point, I find it frightfully analogous that this man could be the new person on the block. So Surah 5, what's Surah 5 verse 82 got to do with it? There you have it. The strongest in enmity or hatred to you believers will you find those who are the Jews and the idolaters. So idolaters would be those who worship entities other than Allah, i.e. those who are hardcore Hindus, not the average Hindu who could be very pleasant, but those who are referred to as the Jews and the idolaters. So who is propelling these Indian people to the forefront of British and Western politics? It's a game being played by the Zionist Yahud, you see, to have an alliance with the idolaters. So the Yahud, the Zionist Yahud, and the idolaters, the Hindus. And hence you see an Indian Prime Minister of the UK being propelled by Michael Gove. Behind the scenes, he was the machinator. Machinating means, conniving and doing all types of background work to propel him. So when Liz Truss was replaced as the Prime Minister after only serving seven-week term, having won the general election, this is the shortest Prime Minister's position that anyone has ever held in the British political history. So because they knew full well that the indigenous white Englishman, he would be loathed to vote for Rishi Sunak, who's an Indian person. Even Rishi Sunak's, not relation, but I'm sure one of his heroes, Mahatma Gandhi, when he entered into Parliament in the 1930s, in particular, when they were lobbying the Conservatives for autonomy and freedom for India. Winston Churchill, who was also a well-known Zionist, who actively instigated during the First World War the deception of the Balfour Agreement. He made a comment about Mahatma Gandhi, and who does this little coolie think he is coming into our places of democracy and civilization and wrapped up in a white garment. Everybody knows Mahatma Gandhi would just walk wherever he went with just a white cloth, much like the ihram, which Muslims wear for the Hajj pilgrimage, or when we go to Umrah. So when he appeared like that in the House of Parliament, this is the disdainful type of comment that Winston Churchill, the then Conservative leader of Britain during the Second World War, when the Conservatives were the party. So can you imagine, this is the very same people that white indigenous Englishmen would never vote for Rishi Sunak, and an upper conservative by nature have this arrogance within them that they are superior due to their ethnicity. But who is behind installing these people? It's the Zionists, brothers and sisters. The white indigenous Englishman would never be happy, or the white indigenous American would never be happy in choosing someone like Vivek Ramaswamy, or what's happened here already in the UK with Rishi Sunak. Because the Yahud, the Zionist Yahud, their plan is to have this affiliation. Now, also read today with regards to Narendra Modi, I beg your pardon, the BJP leader of India. Historically, India would favor Palestine in terms of the atrocities committed by the Israelis over the last 75 years, particularly during the time of Indira Gandhi as well. They were quite vehement in support of Palestine, but that's now taken the back burner, and he's made comments over the last few days in which he's saying that we have the same common enemy as our Jewish Israeli counterparts. So you can see he's very much for an alliance, and he's very much backing the actions of the Israeli government during this, brutal slaughter of the people in Gaza. So I thought I'd just share that with you. This is very, very interesting, you see, and very, very poignant to that verse in the Quran in Surah 5, verse 82. Those are the strongest in enmity towards the believers, and hence they have come with this alliance. So Rishi Sunak was came into power through the machinations of Michael Gove, the Zionist, esoteric, very influential politician within the Conservative Party. And now we're seeing this Vivek Ramaswamy in the US attending the support within the Republican Party gathering that they've currently got taking place in the US, and he's lobbying he's getting lobbying help and giving pro-Israeli slogans in his support for Israel, and saying that Israel can do whatever it likes in terms of its self-defense, not in any way looking at the plight of the Palestinian people. So these are ominous signs for Muslims, you see. And we had the answer there in the Surah of the Quran, Surah 5, verse 82. And we need to take note of this very much.
Brother Mustafa, I mean, you don't need a loudspeaker for that. Come on. To what point did it come for you to need a loudspeaker to share this with people? This is knowledge that we should know. It's kind of shocking, honestly, where the politics world is going. And to ask ourselves the questions: who are these little armies that are behind all of this? And I think in a minute it would be we can start watching the video of you, Mustafa, with the brother with the guy who's interviewing you. It'll show you as well the deviance. So if you guys are ready, or if someone wants to have a word in first, feel free. Brother Abi?
And we can get straight into the if nobody wants to say anything, we can go straight into the clips. Do you have the clip at hand, brother?
Yes, I have, inshallah. So guys, feel free to ask to stop if you want to interrupt, even Brother Mustafa. If there was something that you wanted to add, we don't have to wait until the whole video is done, inshallah. So there we go, inshallah.
There's many, many more. I think we could be looking at 1 million. The question is, will our governments continue in this path of unequivocal support for Israel when their bombardment is so relentless, even to the extent that they have now rejected the statements of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and they've outrightly rejected his statements that this is like a catastrophe bordering on the extinction of a particular race. And obviously the powers that we didn't take exception to that. Now they're calling for his resignation. What do you think about this call for the resignation of the UN Secretary General? What is your view on that?
I think it's
so just to interrupt this for one moment, if we can pause it perhaps there, brother.
Yes, go on, brother.
I'm not sure whether this has been shown right from the beginning, but I think it may have. So this person on the left, his name is Ezra Levant. Now, Ezra Levant, unbeknown to me, is very much a pro-Zionist individual who's based in Canada. And he runs or helps run an organization, as I made mention, called Rebel News, which have got 1.13 million subscribers on YouTube. He's been castigated in Canada as well for his right-wing views, and he's a staunch Zionist. And he's a Jew. He's actually an Ashkenazi Jew, and he carries a lot of weight with the far right. It's an interesting alliance between Zionism and the far right as well, which seems like a paradox, particularly if you look at the Second World War, in which the notion is that 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust, perpetuated by the Nazis, who would be deemed as right wing. But what we're seeing now is an affiliation between Zionism and the right wing as well. We look at people like Zelensky as well, the leader of Ukraine, who is Jewish, yet at the same notion, this individual has also been, leading the Ukrainians in their war against Russia, and he is getting a lot of assistance from the far right in Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine is well renowned. I mean, even the Russians said that there are many Nazis which are in Ukraine, you know, within their system and within their setup. So this individual is this particular person who we approached for the purpose of having an interview, unbeknown who he was. We just thought he was a reporter, perhaps, you know, looking to get some information or taking a pro-Israeli stance. But little did we know he is a man of you know, considerable an anti-Islamic position, and he's got a considerable affiliation and following with the far right. I've been led to believe even he's appeared and funded Tommy Robinson on many occasions, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this is the individual we spoke to, and now we're seeing. I think it was prayed a little bit quick, brother, as well. I think the speed was a little bit fast. Maybe we can put it to normal speed, the speech.
Yes, sorry, brother. Yes, indeed, I changed it. Inshallah, we'll continue.
Yes, if we can just go to the beginning and just analyze things carefully, and people, if they want to, you know, ask anything or raise any particular issue, please feel free to do so.
Inshallah. Good. This is the beginning.
Many more. I think we could be looking at the million. The question is, will our governments continue in this path of unequivocal support for Israel when their bombardment is so relentless, even to the extent that they have now rejected the statements of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and they've outrightly rejected his statements that this is like a catastrophe bordering on, you know, on the extinction of a particular race. And obviously the powers that be didn't take exception to that. Now they're calling for his resignation. What do you think about this call for the resignation of the UN Secretary General? What is your view on that?
I think it's unlikely to be successful. Let me ask you about the solutions, because I've heard different chants here. I've seen different posters, and I'm trying to understand what the desired outcome is. So maybe you can tell me, what is the hoped for resolution from your point of view?
For UN Resolution 242.
No, sorry, I don't mean UN resolution.
I know what you mean.
Like on the ground.
I understand. Okay, on the ground, immediate cessation of hostilities from all parties concerned. And by that proxy, an immediate and unequivocal guarantee that a solution is incumbent, meaning we're not going to have talks about talks like in the famous 1993 Oslo Accords, where Bill Clinton got hold of Shimon Peres, and the first thing they mentioned is let's have talks about talks in reference to the Palestinian issue. We want something done now. The immediate cessation of violence. Israel withdraws back to its pre-1967 borders. That will be the first prerequisite, as according to the UN Resolution 242 and 338, where they have to disperse from the West Bank and Gaza, which they have not done, and flagrantly rejected international law, which we are supposed to be great proponents of.
So
we can pause there for a moment.
Back to the 1960s.
Yes, I just gave a brief account to the question that he posed. I mean, he said, what should be done at this particular juncture? You know, what can we do to stop things? And so I was about to respond by reciting how Israel has blatantly and flagrantly ignored United Nations resolutions over decades, in which Brother Alauddin alluded to as well, particularly the famous 242 and 338 resolutions, which have demanded that they withdraw from the West Bank and Gaza, which obviously they have not done. Instead, they've piled illegal settlement upon illegal settlement. So, but then he was specific in asking, well, what should we do now? So I made mention that there should be a complete cessation of violence from all parties concerned, and they should come together in terms of having talks. So then I mentioned about the famous 1993 Oslo Accords, where there was an agreement between the then Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat and Shimon Peres, having been induced by Bill Clinton, in which they were going to look at potential ways of going forward in terms of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And what really, and I remember at the time really being very disturbed by the fact that all Bill Clinton said as a precursor to the talks is we should be having the talks between Palestinians and Israelis. There should be talks about the talks, which I found at the time so insincere. They were saying that in order for us to have substantive talks on some sort of understanding of where we are lying and where we will be going forward in terms of a settlement, let's have talks about those talks. It was shocking, the policies that they were trying to imply. Normally, just delaying tactics on the part of the Israeli authorities. They had no intention whatsoever to give autonomous rule, because that was what was supposed to have been signed during the Oslo Accords, where the West Bank and Gaza and towns such as Ramallah and so forth would have autonomy, and Gaza would have their own separate institutions. But the Israelis, they were just buying time, as they say, and they really cheated the Palestinians. And subsequently, we've known since then there have been a multitude of different events that have taken place, or conflicts that have taken place, in which the butchery of the Palestinians has
it's
been
crazy.
continuing.
It's crazy. It's like they're saying, let's have a roundtable conference, right? And have some tea with it while there's things that need to be done. I mean, this is
let's have talks about talks. Can you imagine this comment? Let's have talks about talks. So this is what I was just trying to highlight from there, that we're not going to listen to this nonsense anymore. If there is going to be substantive talks, then first thing first, the relentless bombing of those innocent civilians, that must stop. Israel then must abide by international law and withdraw from the West Bank and Gaza according to the very standards that Britain and America and so forth are now expecting of the world in terms of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, or when the Americans went into Iraq, where they gathered world support, where UN resolutions were cited as a pretext for a coalition of forces to invade Iraq based upon UN resolutions. But when it comes to Israel flagrantly ignoring this very similar UN resolutions, it's the stench of hypocrisy just overwhelming and mind-blowing. So that was my intention, just to hammer those points onto him. So you can just continue.
Hypocrisy, and the hypocrisy is massive. The hypocrisy all the way through is absolutely ginormous. They'll never stop, because that's exactly whatever you've just said now. That's exactly what they've been doing for so many years before even the talks even started. And all they've done, like you said earlier, is the delay tactics. They've literally made mention, let's have a discussion about the two-state solution. And then all of a sudden, when the actual date is coming closer, they create some kind of a conflict or animosity, and then it gets delayed again. And that's all they've been doing for all of these years. Instead of having these discussions, like you said, they want to discuss the discussion.
Exactly. They want to discuss about the discussion. This was the most overwhelming factor. And the fact is, since then, they've been building illegal settlement upon illegal settlement, accruing more and more land. This Israeli court system is so flagrantly, in terms of its suppressing of the Palestinians and their land and their rights, that they've spread throughout Israel now. Israeli settlements are very much widespread. So I made mention of Antonio Guterres as well, the UN Secretary General, who made a comment which really seemed to have irritated the Israelis by stating that these events that have been perpetuated supposedly by Hamas, it didn't come in a vacuum. Meaning to say, Hamas didn't just wake up one day and decide to propel rockets into Israel and thereby killing the amount of people that has been stated. But he said this didn't come in a vacuum, meaning this has been a build-up of the decades of relentless persecution and torture and mayhem that the Israelis have created in Palestine, and this was a reaction to it. So since then, the Americans and the Israelis have been undermining the UN and saying it has no value whatsoever. It should be disbanded. They are, just anti-Semitic. This is another issue that they commonly use. You see, the anti-Semitic card that they use.
Absolutely.
There's a very interesting YouTube article, YouTube caption of one lady who, studies Zionism, and she's in fact a Jewish lady herself. She simply says that whenever there's any issue or any critique of Israeli policy in particular in Europe, then immediately the Jewish lobby will bring up the notion of you are Nazi sympathizers and you are Holocaust deniers. That's the method that will immediately use to silence any dissenting voices in Europe. And if there's anything which would be against Israel in the US, then they will simply call them anti-Semites, because obviously America wasn't involved in any form of, the Holocaust, which took place apparently. So these are some of the tactics that they use to justify their actions, and hence
Well,
saying to the world that we are the victims, that we are the ones who were attacked first. But it's your decades of torturing and humiliating the people which have led them to this to stand up against this tyranny.
Yes.
this is devious, brother Mustafa. This is exactly what shayateen do.
Yes.
These are the tactics: delaying, procrastinating, because they don't have any other way. I'm gonna ask Sister Samreen if she's still there. Like, what do you think about the video until now? Does this happen over there where they just stop civilians and ask them what is the solution, as if they really care?
No, surprisingly, what has been going on in South Africa is a very different situation. We thought that more people would show up to the marches and more people would be really angry about it. And people are showing their sympathy and support on social media, but we're finding that the marches turnout and sort of momentum have kind of died down. And, the we have two political parties here, the ANC and the EFF, and having gone through apartheid themselves, are really showing support and solidarity for Palestine. But we're finding that not enough action is being done in terms of trying to implement sanctions and things like that, which the South African citizens, have called for. But the marches have not been on the scale as other cities and countries. So unfortunately, that is the situation here.
Wow.
You see, just a week previous to this particular discussion I had with this reporter, we were having another protest in a similar location, and I'm not sure whether anybody's seen it on the brother's YouTube channel, Sam Dawa, in which I approached this mixed race South African lady, and she said that majority of her family is Christian, although there's a healthy amount of Muslims within her family. So I got speaking to her, gave her some dawah, alhamdulillah, and over a period of time, she made some fantastic comments. She said, the apartheid that the Israelis are putting through to the Palestinians, I feel it in my blood, because this is what black people had to go through as well during the evil South African apartheid regime. So she really expressed her sentiments, which you can also watch on Sam's channel. And mashallah, I said over 100,000 views as well. And I'm not just saying that just to propel myself, but just to rather give an indication that people are really feeling the pinch in South Africa. I mean, in particular, the Muslim position, or the Muslim say, is not as strong as it perhaps is here in the UK. I mean, the UK, as we know, 1 million. There are alone 1 million Muslims out of the 9 million inhabitants of London, and that's a heck of a percentage. Often Muslims will lament the fact that they're helpless. There's nothing that they can do to help their brothers and sisters in Palestine, but there's a tremendous amount that they can do. If 1 million Muslims closed their business for the day, if 1 million Muslims got together to protest and to become activists in terms of really using their economic force mainly to show to the powers that be, we're not going to accept this, and this will, this itself, even more so than demonstrations, I think, would have a powerful effect or powerful message to the authorities to put, or the British authorities to put overwhelming pressure upon the state of Israel. Which is, I mean, let's be fair, they won't do that under any circumstances. And as we watch the rest of this video, that will be unveiled as well. So these are like some of the things that we as Muslims can use. I mean, the Home Secretary, Stella Braverman, has warned those who will try to boycott Israeli goods. Or, there used to be a famous organization called BDS, which I now momentarily I forgot its abbreviation, but it essentially was a organization trying to boycott Israeli goods. So, and it did have a
That
good effect.
coalition still exists, and they temporarily do share a lot of Palestinian sort of posts, and they also do organize marches, and they do organize boycotts and things like that. So they're still there and they're still going. And then we've also got a new coalition called Africa for Palestine, and they're also organizing marches here in South Africa as well. Whether it's working, I don't know. I'm sure boycotts work for sure, and people might not like what I'm about to say, but the marches have not had such a big effect here in South Africa as we thought that they would. People have gone out, they've marched to Parliament, they've marched to the Israeli embassy, they've picketed outside the Israeli embassy. Yes, no one's got arrested, and it's not as bad as Germany or America, because I think people have a bit more freedom of speech here, having gone through apartheid ourselves, and the government being sympathetic towards the Palestinians. But it really hasn't created sanctions. People are boycotting, but South Africa is very divided. Some areas have more Muslims than others. So it hasn't had the effect that we wanted it to have. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I mean those are the exact sentiments which I'm in fact reiterating the point. But in the UK, for example, which has a considerable influence still, despite the fact that its empire is no more on geopolitical world affairs, and they've been staunch in their support of Israel. Rishi Sunak, which was totally what you would expect based upon the references I've given from the Quran there, that he's going to give unequivocal support to Israel. And it's not him; he's just a mouthpiece for those people behind him who will offer, the support of Israel. So I think we can carry on listening to some of it. Otherwise, we'll be speaking here all night. So perhaps, brother, you can continue.
Jazakallah.
67 borders means
Yes.
the West Bank
And
and the
Gaza.
Gaza.
Yes.
But one of the chants I've heard is from the river to the sea. So that's the Jordan River, I imagine,
yeah.
and the Mediterranean Sea,
Yes.
which would cover Tel Aviv, which would cover pre-1967 Israel. Do you believe there should be a state of Israel in the Holy Land?
Well, Israel, this is a common fallacy of history that the land of Israel belongs to the Israelites.
So you don't think it does?
Well, I'm giving you an elongated answer. It's not a simple yes or no, because the general understanding amongst of the Jews is that the Israelites were the natural inhabitants of the land of Palestine, but that's not the case. The Canaanites and the Philistines were there before them as well. So that's a misnomer. When Moses parted them from the sea and they went forth, it was not that was their particular land. The land could have been chosen from there all the way to the river Euphrates, but it was not that was their particular land. So at the moment, they have to, the 1967 borders would have to be the initial prerequisite, which they have to vacate the occupying lands. And obviously there are millions of people over there, so they can't be displaced, even though they're Israelis. So that's a given fact. So at the same time, there has to be some sort of accommodation for them, unless there is mass repatriation back to different parts of the world which they came from, which is going to be unlikely. So it's not like we're going to be looking at augmenting another human catastrophe in the shape of the Jewish people who are already there. But however, that would be the prerequisite, the 1967 borders.
So prerequisite.
Perhaps we can pause there.
talks.
So just to understand some of the questions that he's posed, and some of the responses that I gave. So he was just essentially trying to make out that now that the Israelis are there, the Jews are there, it's going to be rather impractical for us to, just to demand that they no longer are to be within state of Israel, which they've been since the generation since they took the country in 1948 in particular. So I have to give a very nuanced answer. I couldn't say, we can't simply say that all Israelis who are settled there must now be repatriated to whichever part of the world their forefathers came from. That's not practical. So that would be seen as, starting another human catastrophe, if this was to be the case in any way, shape, or form. So I was very careful to add, to make sure that we wouldn't be seen as how they are. They're looking to exterminate and extinguish a nationality, a ethnic group in the form of the Palestinians. So when he made that comment right at the beginning, when he said he's heard the chants from the rivers to the sea, Palestine will be free. Now, it's very interesting he makes this comment because this is a comment that Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, has made tellingly recently, which she seems to have in her rather volatile mind, which suggests that they were expecting the complete extinguishment of Israel from the face of the earth, and this is very anti-Semitic. When all the chant was that is from the river, which I'm assuming is the River Nile, all the way to the different portions of the seas, that Palestine will be free, meaning that land which belonged to them should be free. But look how she miscontextualized it as if to suggest this is causing for the destruction of the Israeli people, and hence it would be deemed as anti-Semite. And we notice this is the exact same language that this Zionist reporter is also using. He was trying to allude to the fact that from the river to the sea, Tel Aviv is there. So are you looking to extinguish Tel Aviv as well? You see how these reporters are in harmony with the governmental forces as well, asking these type of questions as if to suggest that you Muslims, if you did have Palestine, you would extinguish the Jews from Palestine, which is simply not the case because the Jews live very peacefully with the Muslims prior to this takeover of the Zionist state of Israel in 1948. So this is what he was trying to esoterically put across to, or in a rather conniving way, put across to me that the river to the sea indicates
Yeah,
that Palestine
brother
will
Mustafa,
be.
it can't be more obvious. It's blatantly obvious. Obvious, sorry, it's blatantly obvious. I mean, they have their script.
Yeah.
They have a script they have to follow, and they follow it. I just want to say one thing, brother Abi. It's just because you have an echo, and that's why I keep muting. You don't take it as if I'm trying to mute you or something.
Oh,
but
I'm taking
because you
this
have,
personal now because every time you mute me, I'm talking and nobody's saying anything. I'm thinking to myself, oh, brother's muted me again. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't take me serious.
I know you're joking.
I'm
So
good, man.
so if
I'm
I
good.
mute,
I'm good.
so whenever you want to speak, like unmute yourself and speak, because the echo is still there, brother. Okay.
Is it still there? Is the echo still here?
Well, if you speak, no, but if someone else speaks and you're not muted,
Okay,
yes. Subhanallah.
that's fine. Okay,
But go on,
yeah,
brother.
mute me.
No, go
Sorry,
on.
brother Mustafa.
It's up to you. Give your thoughts. I mean, you've
I was
been
saying, yeah,
silenced.
no, that's fine. Brother Mustafa, just before you came on to the channel, I was actually saying something very similar to what you just said. Is Suella, and all her counterparts, all Rishi Sunak's team, all the brown non-Muslim politicians, this is exactly what they have all been taught to say. They're all talking from the same hymn book. And each one of them, the first thing they say, well, it's illegal for them to say from the river to the sea, because that means that they're trying to annihilate all the Jewish people. And they use that name Jewish, not Israel, but Jewish. And then they go on to say that they want to remove Israel from the map. And this is exactly what they've been trying to say all along. And that's exactly what all, and I said in a video today that I posted on social media that, and I mentioned brown non-Muslim politicians. It's exactly what I said. And that's exactly what they're doing. And you mentioned earlier, Brother Mustafa, the idolaters. This is who they are. And these are the ones who are partnering up with the Zionists. And these are the ones that will actually go against the believers. And that's exactly what's happening. And you know as well as I do, Brother Mustafa, that in the UK or anywhere in the world, if you want to go up the ladder in politics, you know you need to join a club. And that club is where you learn everything. And you must follow the rules of that club, and you must never go against that club. And that's the way it operates. And that's how you become a political puppet. And that's exactly who these people have become.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah, that's true. Really deep. On the point. It's all on point. I mean, the double standards. I mean,
Look at
come
this
on.
man. Brother, look at this man who's interviewing Brother Mustafa. Look at this man. What is he doing? He's trying to look for short answers from Brother Mustafa. Yes or no. You know, he's looking for a yes or no. And I'm sorry, but you can't answer with an overview answer, because answers where questions like this don't deserve an overview. You have to be detailed like Brother Mustafa is. And that's how you answer these people, because they don't want to hear you. They don't want to listen to you, but you have to give it to them because the people are watching and they need to understand exactly what this man is trying to do and what you are trying to explain. And Alhamdulillah, you know what? You answered this man in such perfection, brother, that you actually told him that, you know what? There is a country already established now, which is Israel. You're obviously not going to work the way they have been working. So we're not going to annihilate or get rid of the people because it's not going to happen. So they can coincide just the way they used to coincide, you know? But will they ever listen though, brother? That's the other question. Will they
Yeah, I
ever
mean,
learn?
obviously they've acquired all that land and so forth. I mean, they've got overwhelming control of the whole country.
Yeah,
So, I mean, those occupied territories in the West Bank and Gaza, you know, as they say in English, they've got the creme de la menthe of the country, which is in Jerusalem. You see, so this is not just a fact of land; it's also a pride that they take that this is now in their hands as well. So historically, you see, this is what they're trying to do, as you've quite correctly made mention. They're trying to make an innocent slogan appear to be, very what you call devious or very much against what its intent is, which is simply that Palestine will be free from the areas that it was, that was taken away from it. So that's the entire understanding, but they've tried to construe it as if it's an anti-Semitic statement. It's trying to get rid of the Jewish people from their homeland. And look to what extent Suella Braverman, this Hindu lady of origin who is married to an Englishman, you know, the fact that she's replaced the other previous incumbent, Priti Patel, who we can tell stories about her, how she connived to get rid of a very eminent Tory MP who stood up to her bullying, which is something which is going to be a divergent point. But you see, it's very fascinating that, as you made mentioned, these Indian Hindus particularly are coming into positions of extreme authority and position. But one thing we've got to remember, they are not elected. The most amazing thing is, with Rishi Sunak, he didn't go to the polls in front of the UK electorate and win the election, because there's no way the white indigenous Englishman would have voted for a little Indian running their country, particularly the
don't think so
Conservative
neither.
party, like the types of views that the Tories hold. So this was a plan hatched by Mr. Gove, you see, Michael Gove, the open Zionist, the one who
That's correct.
was the education secretary when they introduced same-sex education for young children. So, I mean, and I'm not going to try to divert from, because we need to focus on this video, but you know, this is why I've been calling for a long time with a unity amongst Christians as well, because that same verse that we go to, Surah 5 verse 82, tells us that they're the nearest to you in love and belief. You know, amongst them, they are people like priests and monks, and they are not arrogant. You see, this is the Quran is speaking favorably of these Christians, because
That's correct.
they're humble enough to accept it. So hence, this is why they're trying to oust. I've spoken on this channel before about some of the other plots, the Zionist plots that they have. And I've done a thorough. I could tell you so many things which will blow your mind to pieces in terms of information that I have at hand in what their plots and plans are, and it's very much augmented in Islamic eschatology and
Habibi
the
Mustafa,
way they
it's
operate.
already Habibi Mustafa, it's already exploding. Trust me, wallahi. like we're gonna continue with the video because this
Yeah.
is really interesting, right? And I want to do one more thing before Brother Abi. Brother Abi, there?
Yes, I'm here, brother. Sorry, I was just
Okay.
drinking some water.
Yeah, we could hear it. No worries.
Fantastic.
So, what's your name? Yes or no?
My name is Yes.
Okay, good. Let's continue with the video, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Israel must withdraw from the occupied territories. That's a prerequisite.
And who would Israel's negotiating counterpart be? Who would be on the other side of the table?
Well, anyone who is of a particular understanding that that would be a central call. So any political party which evaluates that and understands that. Because what is the other alternative?
So who would represent the people of Gaza?
Whoever that would be the case, whoever they decide, whoever that would be the case, whoever is elected democratically. Supposedly, we have democratically elected governments. From my understanding, Hamas was democratically elected. I've never been to Palestine, but from my understanding, that was the case. So let the Palestinian people decide.
Are you from Britain originally, or did you come
I was born there. Yeah.
And do you mind me asking where you grew up?
Yes, I was born and brought up in London.
And what shaped your views on these subjects?
Yeah, just again, let's have a cup of tea, right? Let's not talk about. Let's take it a step back and let's talk about the talk. It just shows it here.
Let's talk about the talk. Absolutely.
Yeah, and over here,
historicity. I mean, the fact that Britain, unfortunately, not the Englishman, not the average Joe public, but our governments played terrible games. The Balfour Declaration, 1917, how they in France secretly tried to divide Palestine amongst themselves, having promised the Arabs the autonomous state that they would be getting. They played games galore, which they are unfortunately doing now. You have to accept this. Do you accept that the British and the Americans are playing games? Do you accept this?
Well,
do you accept, historically speaking, the Balfour Declaration? The British government at that time were playing games in trying to divide and rule, where they were promising the Arabs that they would have their country back if they supported them during the First World War. And after that, they broke their treaties, and they were between France and Britain. They were going to divide Palestine for themselves. But on the blind side, the relevant Israeli groups, they got together and decided otherwise, with support from the US.
Can I ask you?
So you never answered any of my. You've asked me this question. I'd like to ask you. I'd ask.
So he was initially, he was trying to prompt me into making unequivocal support for Hamas. You see, and by the decrees of this country, that would be akin to supporting a terrorist organization, as understood by the British or the Western governments. And of more considerable fascination, you see. Recently, Suella Braverman summoned the two people, one the head of the BBC, on the basis that when the BBC make a report, they don't ever refer to Hamas as terrorists. Rather, they say British government have designated Hamas a terrorist organization, but the BBC themselves have never called Hamas terrorists. So she wants them also then to themselves, their reporters, to make this point of them. So you can see how much influence that they have on the media. Imagine she summoned the head of the BBC, that the BBC themselves must say from their reporters' own mouths, because no reporter has ever said that the Hamas is a terrorist organization. Rather, what they've said is this is what the British government's understanding of Hamas is, that it's a terrorist organization. However, they themselves never say that at all, but she was trying to put pressure on them. And they did something else as well recently, since the previous protests have taken place, that she also summoned the head of the Metropolitan Police to herself to have a discussion based upon 49 Tory MPs pushing forward the view that some of the slogans at this march counted towards anti-Semitism, particularly this from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. This, and the police, there was nothing within the statement which would warranty or which would in anything warrant a support of any extreme views, which would then entitle them to make arrests. So they're even trying to put pressure, these esoteric politicians, on the authorities themselves, who are observing that when people are attending these protests, they're saying everything within the confines of the law. Yet they are determined that any slogan which could be remotely favoring Palestinians, and where they want to construe in the remotest way that it would be anti-Jewish, they're pouncing upon that with the view then to ban the protests. And today in the Guardian newspaper in particular, Suella Braverman gave an interview, and these were her very words. She said, "I think that these slogans at these recent protests, they're anti-Semitic to their core." So since when is it that you are thinking, so personally, your personal thoughts should be overriding the thoughts of hundreds of thousands of protesters? She hasn't said that this is the governmental type of understanding that we have. She herself is giving her personal thoughts, and hence her personal thoughts should be overwhelming, and everybody should listen to that. Can you imagine the gall of this person, the arrogance of this person? So, in effect, they are trying their darndest to stop protests taking place. Now, when you're getting hundreds of thousands of people attending week in, week out for these protests, it just shows the hypocrisy of the governments, you see. And this is what they're fearful of, that they will be eventually caught out for their multitude of different standards that they have. And, by which face can they show themselves to the public? So in regards to this, I to answer this question in a particular manner in which to show that this is the type of pressure that you people put on the indigenous masses, and it's simply as a reason to quiet the dissenting voices.
Well, brother Mustafa, let's see if he answers, right? Let's see if he answers the question, your question.
This is it. I mean, I've answered several of his questions. Now, if you watch,
no, you did,
Yeah.
but let's watch and see if this guy, like, look at him right now. He lost track of the control of the conversation, so now he's just gonna have to. For the people who didn't see it, I'm curious to see if he's going to dodge or answer the question. Bismillah.
So I've asked several of your questions. What I'd like to ask you, do you condemn the Israeli government's barbaric bombardment of the innocent people of Palestine, in which the indigenous masses of this country are viewing and coming out and protesting?
I don't think I want to answer that question. I want to be a reporter.
It's amazing. Wherever you guys seem, the Western media are so frivolous to criticize Israel in any capacity. It's like an endemic fear that they could lose their job or they could lose any other entitlement.
I'm not worried about losing my job.
But that's a brutal reality, you see.
I'm here to ask you some questions. If you don't want to...
That's fine. But like I said, it was a two-way meet. When I did approach you, I've answered several of your questions. So again, that's fair that I asked you a basic...
But we agreed that you will answer some questions.
Yes, we agreed upon that.
That you have another face, not the real face. When we talk to people.
So when we're asking you reasonable questions, we're asking you reasonable, responsive questions, it seems that you're not going to accept this 1917 Balfour Declaration. You're not going to accept what the Western governments got up to. They're trying to divide and rule. The British have already accepted this was their policy during the subcontinent era as well. So let's face it, all these events that are occurring in the world, in Kashmir, in Palestine, wherever you guys have been the result of the foreign policies of the Western governments, in particular Britain and now today America. Do you accept this or not?
You're saying about 20 things and asking me if I...
No, it's one singular question. Do you say? Okay, I'll shorten it so there's no confusion.
Did you come to the Kashmir protest? Did you come to the rally for Kashmir?
Yeah, so we seem to be digressing. It's a fair question that I've asked. You seem to be going on the tangent.
Well,
it's all very what happens is when the Muslim audience or people in general will observe our conversation, and I've answered your questions and you've not answered a singular one, they're going to come to the certain pretext that you are deliberately not looking to answer the questions because you're fearful of potential repercussions.
Him to answer the question. He will ask you a question and you answer it, and you will ask him a question.
Instead, you ask me several questions and I answered all those several questions. But it's a fair factor that you have. We all know.
We can just pause the video, brother. I think I seem to be speaking a bit quickly again. Maybe you've increased the speed inadvertently. But over here, the whole point of was that before we approach these individuals,
that's the normal speed, Habibi. This is the speed.
Okay.
How subhanAllah, Allah bless you with knowledge to come out.
Alhamdulillah. So I was just about to say, Alhamdulillah, that we had an agreement with this chap that we would ask him questions and he would ask us questions. I mean, he seemed to be trying to take authority by the fact that he's some sort of recognized reporter. When we had an agreement between him exclusively, this is how we would conduct it, because we had our own camera. We've got our own brother who's got nearly 150,000 subscribers, and I would encourage people to subscribe to his channel, Sam Dawa. So so this was the agreement we had, but we could see now as I was answering his questions, which I don't think he was expecting, it would be answered the way I was able to by Allah's grace. And now I was going to turn the tables on him just to ask him a very basic question. And this is really where I think, if you read the comments in the section of the video, even people who are, supporters of his organization, even they felt that, he really looked very poor. He came across very poor in this particular conversation I've had with him, and it really
He
reflected
shortchanged
badly
you.
for them.
He shortchanged you, brother. He shortchanged you. He's been taking lessons from Piers Morgan.
Yeah, but the more so, I mean, I think by Allah's grace, as Allah says in the Quran, that they plot and plan, but Allah's the biggest planner. So who knows what he had in store in terms of asking other individuals questions which he could have used to portray Muslims in a negative way. So at least when he was able to ask me questions, he was given, some sort of lessons in terms of historical overviews and hypocrisy of the governmental systems. And we will see further, he was loathed now to criticize Israel in any way. And this is really where the video hottens up, in which other protesters, they share their frustration at the unjust way that the reporting is done in terms of the Palestinian suffering. And then I ask him that big question.
Hard enough already, Habibi.
Yeah, then I ask him that big question, which everyone will be able to listen to as we carry on now.
Yeah, inshallah, if it gets hotter, then the gas bill won't be that bad this month, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Bismillah.
Go for it, brother.
No, they've got you by the short and curlies, as they say.
Can you
Well, if
please?
you're calling me names, I don't want to participate.
That's fine. That's fine. No
Good
problem.
luck to you.
Yeah.
Stop killing the kids. Yes. Yes.
Can you
Stop
please
killing
answer
the
his
kids. Talking about who's this guy? Kids. You have kids. Yeah. Yeah. There was all of you. You know. It's only about the kids. Stop British kids being involved. That would never happen. But because they're Palestinian, because they're Muslim, they
Yes.
don't care.
Yeah,
They
no,
don't you don't care. Just the kids.
Maybe, sorry, sorry, my friend. Sorry, my friend. As the conversation was with me initially, may I ask which organisation you're with? Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, no, sorry, we can't seem to get out. We can't seem. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. We don't even know.
Maybe he'll find his soul.
So, which organisation? So, my friend, which organisation are you with? Which organisation? Which is your newscasting organisation? Pardon? Global News. Rebel News. Okay, that's it. Are you with him? Okay, cool. So, don't you think it's unfair that today I have asked this gentleman several of his questions?
I'm just a cameraman.
I know you're a poor guy. You're under the grip of a certain system, and that system is bombarding those innocent people. Simple. Simple.
What happened to your daughter, Seven? What happened to me? 15 years.
So we must speak calmly, otherwise it gives a bad image.
15 years.
So what do you say, my friend? Mr. Rebel News. This is Rebel News today, speaking on behalf of their channel. Maybe just ask one question. What are your views on the Israeli bombardment of Gaza? Can we have your one singular view?
Yeah, let's hear you.
Let's hear it.
Well, I'm here to understand what the protests.
Obfuscation. You can never criticize them because they've got you by the short and curlies. You're probably worried about
If you don't know what it's for, see yourself out.
the Rebel News. So 1 second, please. This is not Rebel News. This is just like one-way news. Because if you criticize the state of Israel, you're going to be in for the jump. Everybody knows that, my friend. You know.
Why?
Fine, let me just say, I've been to Gaza, I'm a medic. I went before this all happened. I saw a child get shot by the IDF. The IDF stopped us with our ambulances to get to the child. It was atrocious before this, and now it's even more worse. I'm banned from Israel because they took my details and said, no, you're not coming back until they come up with Gaza. So, just go away, please.
So,
Do you condemn the killing of children in Gaza?
Do you condemn
Look
the
at the reporter. Look at the reporter. Mashallah. Yes,
okay.
you are so
Do you condemn the killing of the children in Gaza, Mr. Reporter?
I'm here to ask questions about the protests.
Oh my
And,
God,
you've already
this is sickening.
attacked me
This
and
is
insulted me.
very. No one. I haven't insulted you. What's happened is that you can't answer the question.
Take care, fellas.
Okay, you have a good time. That's it. Just let me conclude. So, inshallah, what we've seen here is whatever Rebel News, BBC News.
Apparently, he started to talk a different way, literally. I mean, come on. This guy has been, like, from the start of the interview, till now, you could see a total, like the guy's just pointing his mic anywhere. Women shouting. He doesn't care what they're saying. Just here, say it, so I can use it against you. Come on.
That's
I'm just
exactly what he was looking
ah,
for.
like
That's
So that's why I
exactly
had
what
to
he was
approach
looking for.
these people, sisters, particularly to tell them to speak calmly, because he's looking for any type of reaction on the part of Muslims to then present to his
Yeah,
news channel to show, look, this is how the Muslims are behaving in these
yeah,
protests, to wind up and to, to make their audience believe in their nonsensical type of games that they play. So it was incumbent upon me, you see, just to then ask him a very straightforward question, nothing too difficult. I simply asked him, do you condemn the killing of the innocent children of Gaza? And he refused to answer that question. You could see if he was
absolutely.
forced to answer, he would have said no. He would have said, I don't condemn it. Yeah, I
Yes,
do not condemn it. But he didn't have the nerve to say, you know, that innocent children who are dying, that this is wrong. He just said, "Oh, I can't ask. I can't answer this question." I mean, what type of human being is he that he cannot even speak about? It doesn't matter if the child is Muslim or non-Muslim. These are innocent babies who are being killed by this ruthless Zionist regime. And for him not even
absolutely,
to be able to answer this question, I think even his subscribers who have made comments on this particular interview or this discussion I've had with him, numerous people have said, he came out looking very, very bad, unsympathetic,
absolutely,
obfuscating, which means not to answer the question. Their organization took a real hammer blow, and I know they haven't put this particular interview that I had with him on their channel because obviously it makes him look rather foolish. A number of other people who are subscribers to his channel, they've actually unsubscribed because they feel that he came out absolutely terrible, and a few people have commented by saying that their eyes have been opened to the reality of what is happening, and they were able to assess, how pathetic and how unhumane this particular individual appeared.
absolutely. You made him look like a beginner, if you know what I mean, brother. You made him look like a beginner.
But all
Um,
praises to
and
Allah Azza wa Jal,
Alhamdulillah,
whatever good
he
I
Alhamdulillah.
say.
exposes. Allah is the Allah exposes, and
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
literally. I'm kind of curious. Did he share this on his channel? Did you were you able to check, brother?
Yeah, I have, brother. That's why I've just made mention that I was able to check his channel, and I can't see our discussion anywhere on any of their
Of
videos,
course.
because obviously he's come out by the grace of Allah, and Allah's fully exposed him. There was no eloquence on my part. The minimal amount of information I had, I just seek to,
Yeah,
imply that in a coherent way, and then Allah was the one who made him look foolish. And this is like quite a crushing blow for, I would say, for their organization. And I mean,
absolutely.
the fact that even people who shared his views have now come out and said, no, this is just not acceptable. The fact that he couldn't even condemn the killing of innocent children of Gaza, which everybody knows is being perpetuated by this, animalistic, this vicious Zionist regime, which is hell bent
Absolutely.
on hell bent on the
Well,
destruction of these innocent people, and then they're
absolutely.
not going to let up. We all know full well this is the tragedy of the situation. You see, whilst we can demonstrate and we can do everything which we possibly can to try to um, bring people's attention and try to appeal to the politicians. End of the day, they're going to do as they please, and there's no
Uh,
amount of
Exactly,
protest
exactly.
which is going to stop them.
It's basically an army with the script. That's it. So, astaghfirullah. We have Sister Marwa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh joining us.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys? Thank you for having
Alhamdulillah.
me again.
Always welcome, sister.
Thank you.
Please share your thoughts on what you've seen or anything that's been
I've been
happening.
watching, I've been watching much of basically their some of their feeds because it's interesting also to see the rhetoric that they're using, that they're trying to cover up with, because there has to be a certain kind of story, and it's very interesting when it comes. When I was watching one guy who was reporting, an Israeli guy from reporting on a channel and talking about what's happening, and then when it came to the idea of what's happening in Gaza, he said that Hamas are forcing people to stand and to stay still and not to move, and thus that's why they are being killed. And he changed the whole rhetoric just by introducing this idea that is not incorporated by any kind of fact or any kind of it's just they're just saying something. And this is the idea when you are introducing ideas that's that big and this kind of news without having any background to it, and you're just saying things without showing footage or showing the truth. And this is very important for us to show the footage, and that's very important for us to make this footage reach, because I think at the end, when you see the amount of people, no matter what they say, it becomes useless. And there are, I mean, the governments are corrupt. I mean, yesterday, I mean, the brother was saying, and I totally agree with him, and the governments are totally corrupt, and they are in it. And they are actually, I think they're launching a crusader war, kind of like, with watching some of the preachers and there was one video that I've seen of a man on a big stage with lots of audience, and they're all cheering, and there is this big poster of two men, like, you know, like with the beards and everything, and the word Islam, and he is calling for a religious war, and you have to stand for war for Israel, and that's the call from God. And he saw Angel Michael with a sword, and that's when he received this revelation. That's when this man called it, I would call him Nitin. Nitin is actually a bad word in Arabic. Uh, he's while he was actually making the declaration of war. So it is a war, and they are putting it as a religious war as well, because we also see Netanyahu was referring to the Bible, referring to. I mean, it's taking a level for them to an extent, to an extent of existence. And also they're trying to get it on an extent of existence also on the Palestinian side, because they're trying to eliminate the cause. They're trying to eliminate Palestine, because if you cannot say there is any Palestine, because if it doesn't exist, I mean, if it's not, if you cannot say it has a place, and if their people cannot fight for their existence. And then there was another guy, oh yeah, that was another guy, and he was saying, well, that's how war is like, you know. You go there, you take the land, you kill the people. I mean, would you allow Native Americans now to come and call for their land? And he was saying this out loud. So they have, some of them really have moral justification, and they see themselves, that's how it is. And these are like these are things that's like it's not, no, it's beyond Nazi. And in the same line, he was saying, of course, now we're not in the time where we can slaughter people anymore, and they are slaughtering people. So it's all self-contradicting, and when you put it out, it's a mania that's happening.
It's madness. It's madness. Wallahi, it's madness. It's like you said, the starting using verses of the Bible. I mean, first of all, he's using religion. They're using religion in general. They're they need to keep up with tactics to desensitize these people on what's going on here, while they're on the side cleaning, right? The what they try to clean in that sense.
that's
And
the
it's
president
crazy.
calling
It's
for a religious war.
no, I mean, now
Imagine a president,
but now they're
a
using
Muslim
verses, right?
president calling for a
Stop.
religious war.
But this is,
I mean,
I mean,
you see how the hypocrisy, how they would take that. They would take that from their sides, and they would allow it. But if you call your religion in any shape or form, in any shape or form. It becomes something that is a taboo. No, you're not even allowed to. What is this hypocrisy? There is this kind
Absolutely.
of hypocrisy in everything. They're allowed to take the land. They're allowed to defend themselves. The others are not allowed to defend themselves. The others are not allowed land. So it's all one way, and it's just it's a war. They see us as the enemy, and they
Yes.
just see and they are vicious people who don't have even any regulation on how to treat an enemy, and that's the
But
difference
isn't
even between Islam.
but isn't war supposed to be two fighting and defending rights on each side? Where is that given through the Palestinians? So why do you call it
No,
war? It is not war. It is genocide,
It is a
and all
genocide.
the
It's not a
rest,
war.
the politics, we can say yeah, war. The politics is war, but
yeah, you're right.
right.
You're
But
right.
if you
So
The other one doesn't have self-defense. The other one doesn't. It doesn't have anything. And if
nothing
they
at all.
try to do anything, they become terrorists. I mean, it's
If
just
you
it's a no-way case,
if you go
and it's
back
not their
to
first.
when we had brother Alauddin on earlier, and he was actually telling us what the verses of Amalek that these guys were reciting, and this is exactly what they are following,
Yeah, yeah,
that they are looking to destroy every man, woman, child, animal, house, everything,
yeah. Right to
and
our
they will
face.
not care. That's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly what they're doing. This
And they
is
don't
what
care
the
about
Zionist
anyone.
people are following. No, they don't. They have no feelings inside. They
They're.
truly believe that this is exactly what they're meant to be doing. And this is
I mean,
why they are doing what they're doing.
he received yesterday. I mean, there has been all this kind of you have to cease fire, you have to cease fire. When he came and he like equivocally, like, we're not going to even talk about that. This is
Yes.
not something. And there has been, I mean, the presidents, I mean, here and there, and I mean, the Saudi king and all that, they have been like trying to pressure with that. And to have, he has really, I mean, I'm not saying that the pressure is anything, but at least, I mean, they're, you know, not even try to delicate it, you know what I mean, not
sister
try to butter it.
sister Marwa, I mean, like the first time the first attempt of the surrounding countries trying to ask for a ceasefire, wasn't it like the day after that they bombed the hospital?
Yes.
Like, isn't here in your face?
Yeah, yeah,
Day
yeah.
Astaghfirullah.
after. Yep.
Cowards. Astaghfirullah.
But they are cowards. You are right. Absolute cowards. They are. They
Sickness
really
of the
are.
heart is truly, when God says sickness of the heart, it is
Yes.
truly sickness of the heart.
It
I
is.
mean,
It is true sickness.
How is it, Marwa? There, like how, like in the scene, like what is the news? Like,
there,
give us a little
today there's
insight of how
been
it's happening over there.
there has been another catastrophe today. Actually, they bombed a camp. So yeah, I mean, they're continuing. I mean, the place is uninhabitable. It's, I mean, I mean, the infrastructure of this place is totally demolished.
Well,
It's like in Nagasaki.
yes, I remember. Yeah.
and and
Allahu
and
Akbar.
and when you see, you see the kids, and the amount of kids that are injured, and the shock, and the women that are carrying their babies in like, in their kafan.
Yes.
It's, and women like
Subhanallah.
standing and falling, like, it's like, it's,
It is.
What what's going to,
I don't know, honestly,
like
I don't
what's
know.
going to make him see, like
And the problem is, people are starting, that's what I'm fearing, because people are starting to feel it's too much on their nerves. Because I mean, yesterday I was going, I nearly like, I'm trying to get my nerves as much as I can. But people are trying not to watch so that they don't get that much. I mean, because it's a lot.
It is a lot.
But that's also a fear, because we need not to get complacent, not to get the easy choice, not to watch, oh, it's not happening anymore, it's too much for me, here is my couch.
Yeah.
no, because
Because
then
that's the
then
danger.
Allah is gonna ask you. Allah's gonna ask you, what did you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, they need us. I mean, they are in a better place than where we're standing. We're the one, I
Well,
mean, in front of
and
God.
in theology, we need them.
Yes.
They're the best teachers.
Yeah, yeah,
But in physical, they need us.
yeah. Of course, yes, yes, yes,
So
yes,
if you
yes.
go and sit on your
Very much.
couch, then you know what? خلاص, you also have a sickness in your heart. I'm sorry. How
Absolutely.
can you like?
And,
There's
and you can
go on,
see
sister.
also that they're trying to change the rhetoric now, that they're trying to introduce Iran. So it's
Yes.
getting, I think, I don't know how much they're trying to escalate.
They're trying to create a diversion.
I think that they're trying to really, I don't know how much of that, I really, uh, I don't know how long will this take, because it's becoming nearly a month.
Yes. No. No. No.
And
It's not going to be a quick. It's not going to be a quick turnaround. This is going to take its time because remember, America has sent two naval ships.
and the
UK
Brits.
has sent. UK has also sent naval ships. So obviously they've sent them there with a plan of action. This is why when they, and if you must remember, you must understand this, and people must understand this. When they shut off the lights, when they shut off all communications, why do you think they did it? Not so that they can bomb everybody, is so that the British and the American troops can come into play. This is why they did all of that. They cut all types of communication. This is how they play the game. This is how it is done. You must understand that. And this is why American special forces are on the ground already.
Yeah, and the risk is now in Syria. I mean, there is the
Yes,
threat now coming on the
yes,
Syrian borders also.
yes,
And Lebanon. I think also they're really going hard for that one, because I think Israel is really thirsty, and that's what they've been saying, that he's not going to settle except for, he wants Palestine. I mean, he wants to erase Palestine. I mean, no more borders, nothing. It's just as he showed the map,
yes,
regardless
absolutely.
of the casualties,
So,
whatever consequences.
Sister Marwa, where is Gaza in accordance to Palestine? Where is Gaza? Is it on the? It's right on the sea. Am I right?
It's well, it's part of it by the sea. It has part of it by the sea, but then it goes by the
Right.
Rafah, and then goes, yeah.
Now,
It's like a strip.
what's the best location for you to deliver your oil and gas?
Yeah, well, but
You
all
see,
this, yeah, yeah,
this is already in plan. This was planned, Sister Marwa, 2 years ago when they
yeah,
actually
yeah,
showed the plan by accident. They actually showed the plan
yeah, yeah. The
by
alliance has
accident.
been going for a while.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, very much so. They showed this plan just over 2 years ago by accident, and whoever caught it,
but
and
but
that
that's good
they're
that
sticking
they're
to it.
showing. I mean, it's
Yeah,
good that, I mean, I believe also it's a moment where masks are falling. I mean, we have to realize also this, because no matter what they're doing now also to their people, because also when I see someone from the House of Labor, and he was actually, he got expelled from because he called for a ceasefire, and another one, he was like he had am I still on?
yes, yes, you're on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and another one also, he had I think they just suspended his membership for calling for Israel, and he introduced Israel and and Jews and all of this with the Palestinian, but still. So it shows that it's becoming even on their people. It shows how much their government is infiltrated, and how much the hope is in their people to wake up, and the good people, and they're good people, because also you have to realize that when they talk about the genocide that happened to the Nazis and all that, there is a sense where European can err and not be able to know how to discern between what is right and wrong and to go excess. And when they were calling for the Nazi, there were people calling and they were cheering and they were like, at that time, it was like what's happening now with Israel. So people were standing for it with belief, with doctrine, with everything. And it's just now they just learned a lesson in the sense of a very primitive way, like don't touch the Jews because we did bad to the Jews. But how they did bad, which is the main lesson, they didn't get it. I mean,
Absolutely.
the idea of to oppress people, they didn't get it. The idea of you don't go for weak, innocent people that they have nothing, and you trap them and you do the same thing again, and you don't see it, and you see it as okay.
Yeah, there everything is equal, right? If it
Yeah,
comes to that, everyone's equal. If it's a target, they're equal. But when it's them,
it's another
well,
concentration camp, but it's
like
open.
exactly. You just said it, Sister Marwa. Look at the. You guys see the screen?
Yes.
Yes. So you tell me that this is an open air prison. This is not an open air prison. This is literally a concentration camp. Where can they go? Like, do you see
They're
the?
trapped.
They're trapped, and they're these like. How many
And the
people?
kind
Like
of wall
people
that
don't.
they have, this kind of
ex- ex-
wall they have, can you
they-
imagine?
no food, no water,
This is a
I
no
heard a
notorious.
connection,
woman.
communication.
I,
Yeah.
I heard a woman talking, and she was talking live, and she was having like shots around her, and she was trying to gather herself to say, "Yeah, they told us to evacuate," and oh no, it's not near us, and then her breath goes out, and it's so and and the idea that there is nothing that they can, there is nothing, just to feel that they're like that, and there is nothing they can do, and there is nothing, there is only God with them. And I believe this is, honestly speaking, we have to be very scared, because I believe definitely they will win. Not, I mean, I don't know when, I don't know how, but eventually, because justice has come. I mean, I have a true belief in justice. I have a true
Subhanallah.
belief that God is just,
Yes.
sooner or later. And I believe sometimes there is a dua in Quran, subhanallah, in Surah Yunus, on Fir'aun, by Musa alayhi salam. When God said, when Musa alayhi salam asks God, he hardens his heart. Okay, first to yatmis ala amwalihim, which is like to it's like their money becomes yatmis is like when you write over something, it's just like you nullify their on their
Erasable. Yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to harden their hearts, so that they don't believe until they see the reckoning. I pray that for them, because honestly, I don't pray for them even to wake up, these people. I pray for them to actually only see when the reckoning comes. The same dua on Fir'aun. And
But that will
subhanallah, in
happen.
Quran, on talking eschatology,
Yeah. Is it, you,
because
can't
yeah.
you can't you like compare this with the story of Firaun? Like they're basically waiting for the sea to split so that they could get out, but they can't
Yeah,
because they're also trapped because of the like you see the red lines. That's basically you can't. No one can go there, so you can't even go and take a swim. Astaghfirullah. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and at that time also, at that time they were also trapped in Egypt. Subhanallah, they were trapped at that time in Egypt. So
exactly,
subhanallah.
exactly. And then they're
and
using their
in,
scriptures. Astaghfirullah.
and
Well,
but if you see in
what would Musa alayhi
Quran,
salam say? Astaghfirullah.
yeah, yeah, in Quran there is something very important us for also to I don't see it also mentioned that much, and it's very important, which is the Ahzab. When we're talking about eschatology and end of time and all this, we always get into the idea of the Dajjal, and we get out from the idea of the Ahzab, which is very huge and very big in the
Surah
Quran.
Al-Kahf, right?
It's in many in Ahzab. You have a whole surah for Ahzab, Surah Al-Ahzab,
Yeah,
and you
Surah
have a
Al-Ahzab.
battle called Al-Ahzab, and you have
Yeah.
inside of this surah a line, a verse, an ayah that says that it is a wa'd. Okay, يوم يأتي الأحزاب يقول الذين آمنوا. So there is an idea of an eschatological idea of a group of peoples, nations, who are demonstrated in Surah Sad, who have Fir'aun, who have Thamud, who have قوم نوح, who have قوم عاد, قوم لوط, قوم مدين. أولئك الأحزاب. These
And
are the
Dajjal, Masih al-Dajjal. I mean,
you have the Masih al-Dajjal as the pillar, because also with Fir'aun you also have to see he is like he is set as an example to the people at the end time. سلفا ومثلا للآخرين. Okay, and subhanallah, it's when Allah says that Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is sent to them, to the Jews, just as when Moses alayhi salam was sent to Fir'aun, because basically they are racing and doing all this for their Messiah, who already came 2,000 years ago, along with the final prophet who comes with a theocracy that they're waiting for, which is the
And
Prophet
they
Muhammad.
denied him.
So they are on the wrong side of history on so many levels. And the weird part is that you see the Christians and the Jews, they're running together, but they eventually are running to kill each other in the end.
Yes,
yeah, on the path
absolutely.
to self-destruction, right?
You see, there's
Yeah, because
this interesting
it's
little
even
certain.
hypocritical.
It's certain topics. This is one of my favorite topics. It's eschatology and future events which are set to occur. Probably you've
I
heard
was
me speak.
waiting. I was waiting for you to come in, brother. I was waiting for you
I
to
was
come in.
also waiting. I was like, this is gonna go until 2, 3 in the morning, and it's gonna
Yeah,
be
Subhanallah.
yeah, so,
blow-minding discovery, mashallah.
yeah,
Mashallah.
because
And
there's so
you,
many interesting, things we can.
subhanallah. And the Ahzab, and if you see everything about Ahzab, and if you see the details about Ahzab, and you see what's happening in each Aqwan, because Allah mentioned them throughout the Quran in so many ayat, they're not for nothing.
Mm.
We think that these ayat came just to, no, they're not ayat just for a story. These are ayat. And the idea that we can take so many information from them, moral, but also the moral results in the idea, like, let's say Madian. Okay, you want to see Madian because the Ahzab is among us all. Okay, واختلف الأحزاب من بينهم. So we have Ahzab is you find inside, so you find even people like also, and they're also in Surah Al-Ahzab is very much identified in Ahl al-Kitab. And you see in Qawm Madian, they have a problem with money, and they have a problem with they are on good place. They are like Sayyidina Shu'aib, he told them, like, I see you in a good state. I just want to correct things a little bit, So when the scale, when you judge, your judgment basically. So the scale and how you don't give people back the rights. So when you have the right, you call for it, and you don't give it when. So these are, things, and there are, of course, more things, but eventually this led to a whole nation to go out. So we need to see how also when he talked about money is a very important part, even, I mean, because money is very important in religion. And we see it's used when we are doing our zakat. We are seen doing our takfirat. If you're doing like you have ahd or something, or you can if you can fast, you can give money. So money is a very important thing, and it's like جعلنا قياما عليه is like, and you see it's you also do sadaqat. So it's a very important tool. And God, when he talks about usury, he says a very important ayah that he is and his Rasul in a state of war, in state of usury.
Yes, totally correct. This is you, basically those who involve themselves with usury are basically just um, basically have Allah, the Rasul, and all Malaika basically
State of war.
state
Harba.
of war, and they're going to resurrect like a person who is majnoon, like a crazy person. Subhanallah, these, you see, these things are all mentioned in the Quran. It is just, you know, we just use it for hasanat. You know, yes, you'll get your hasanat if you but are you really reading it? Are
Absolutely.
you really doing it? Because if you do, then you would. Subhanallah, you know, this is like a GPS, a GPS that you use if you need to go somewhere, a destination. And it's
It's your
like you're,
guidance.
it's exactly, you just have to follow it, nothing
Yeah.
else. And it's like you're putting on your GPS, but you're not looking at it. And you're taking the whole road, the wrong road, and then you're getting mad.
Yep.
I mean,
It's like we don't believe that this book, eventually in our heart, that this is really from God sent to us. And to the extent of that level, we don't apply this amount of level of knowledge of trying to understand it with that sense. We don't take it with that kind of sacredness in our heart when we, not, I mean, not all of us, of course, but I mean, the
Yes.
problem is becoming like like that, you know.
We take it with a
Or when
pinch
I'm
of
reading
salt.
it, I'm reading it and I'm reading only the tafsir. That's also something. We have to do tadabbur. We have
of
to
course,
always be
yes,
interactive.
yes. Sorry, yes, we have to add that the tafsir, that the eloquence of the Arabic is just too too concentrated. So if you want to read, if you want to listen, to, like even if you're too lazy to read, khalas, there's no excuse anymore. Open YouTube, go to like everything. You can just listen to it while you're doing
Arabic
something
is
else.
also very
Astaghfirullah.
important. Arabic is also very important. If somebody doesn't know Arabic, and I believe it's an essential tool to study Quran, you have to learn Arabic, and it's an essential tool. I mean, of course, I mean, Islam and Quran, it's not about the I mean, it's from God itself, okay, and everything is, and the Huda is from Allah. However, really, there is so much, and I see a lot of problems also in the translations. I have to be honest. When I'm looking at
But
the
that's
translations,
normal, Mar.
so
That's normal, sister. Because
yeah, yeah.
uh,
But
how
we have
can
to be
it?
very, very careful
How can
because
there be? How can there be a good translation? There's only as good as it can. Because if you look at the
yeah,
handicap English language, that contains only 500,000 words. But then you look at Arabic, that has 13 million words. How can you put that into this? So of course it's going to be, but you know, that shouldn't like motivate us.
Yeah.
Start already, even if it's a bad translation. At least you will, you're you're gaining
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yep.
You see, Subhanallah.
I seem
Totally
to be
agree.
going out of topic, but I always believe there are always, I always take the chance and always to try to point out where we have to work. I always seem pessimistic, and but I always believe, and I believe this is it's very relevant to the moment. I want to bring that to that also, because I believe a lot of what's happening and a lot of what we really needs to be done, not only I mean, part of it is on a ground level, on what we're doing on earth, like sharing and talking and standing for it and donating and all that, okay, with whatever capacity each one has. But we also have to do the inner work, and the inner work is very important as much as that work, because it's always intention and work, and we have to align that. And that is usually where I see that we're having this or that, and we need this to be aligned very much. And I think, I believe also for us as a wake up moment, I need believe like that this, all this blood gets us to wake up. You know what I mean? Because there is a moment that's happening, and this moment is no matter what we're saying, we're going to be accountable for. So if we really stand and we slip, we don't know on which side we end.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I went
This
so
is
far.
no, you did not. You did not. You did not. You're just touching like these, just feeling, blaming yourself. Like we're blaming ourselves. Like if you don't, blame yourself from what you're hearing and you're not, and your heart's not aligning to it, Sister Marwa and everyone, this is just your fitra, natural fitra that's coming out. Um, uh, sometimes it gets you speechless, and not in the good way.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to say that, you know, this, we can really go on for hours and hours, and but like keep talking about about the talk, like what we said earlier. It's like we should start doing something, educating yourself with anything at least. Um, uh, what like I'm gonna give our beloved panel, mashallah, um, your final thoughts that
Brother
you'd like to
Mustafa,
share.
Brother Mustafa, I think he wanted to say something earlier, and I think we should give him the opportunity first.
Yeah, I mean,
Alhamdulillah.
in fact, if I can just, mashallah, I think the show has been very progressive. So as it is time for the final thoughts, I think I just let everybody know there is again a march taking place this coming Friday. Sorry, my mistake. It's coming Saturday, the 4th of November, at Trafalgar Square from 2:30 p.m. So it's like the usual meeting point where these marches have been taking place in central London over the last few weeks. So I really encourage everybody who's been attending these shows in particular to please make your presence being felt. Let other people know as well. These are marches taking place, and we're having many hundreds of thousands of people who are attending these marches, just to show your support for the people of Palestine, whichever capacity we can. So I would highly encourage, if people can make it, that they should do so, and voice their, make have their voices heard, and to let the authorities know we will not be intimidated by them, despite the fact that we don't carry any say or power. I was just, in fact, whilst you were speaking, just reading an online petition to try to get Suella Braverman removed from her position as, I think she's the Home Secretary. She, in fact, was a previous. She had another ministerial job in the previous Tory government, in which she was removed due to some shenanigans that she was up to in the previous government. So she's not that she's of an exemplary character, which she has to be listened to. So that's something for people to bear in mind, that we can. And I'll send the link to Brother Muhammad, and perhaps you can share it with the rest of the panelists. If you can sign, particularly in the UK, that if you can sign this petition to get her removed, it needs 100,000 signatures, and then it becomes incumbent upon the House of Parliament to discuss this petition. So once you get 100,000 signatories, by law they have to look at it and then vote on it. So this is something else that we can do, because these people are pure enemies of Islam. This is what they're in the positions of authority and dominance. But we must make sure that we stand firm, and then things that we can do to really help and to make public attention, particularly to the Palestinian plight, is to speak to your friends and to people on the streets, just to approach people. Today I was in central London. I just was approaching people randomly and just asking them about what they feel, and the public are very receptive to the plight of the Palestinians. This is my general observation, and so we can do whatever we can to propel this cause and make it known who are the real perpetrators and who are the real victims in this appalling situation which is developing. I mean, we're all very fortunate we can go to bed tonight with a roof over our head, having had a good meal and probably snugged up warm. But our brothers and sisters in Palestine, unfortunately, are not encountering those same comforts of life. So unless we don't feel their pain, then we cannot be true mu'mins. We cannot be true Muslims in this understanding. So inshallah, we all make dua for them. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Brother Mustafa, thank you so much for your input, and we look forward for much more of your input and the important points that are that slip us. Mashallah, you keep. It's very clear that you really pick up on them. Mashallah, keep sharing and keep doing what you're doing, and may Allah increase you uh, and reward you, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallahu khair.
Ameen.
I'm going
Jazakumullah.
to ask Sister Marwa um,
Thank
for
you so much.
final thoughts, inshallah.
Just your dua, and just try to always do not go weak on the remembrance. Always do not go soft on it. Do not go on the softer side. I please tell everybody to not. I mean, try to encourage everybody to keep up, to keep posting, and to keep sharing, and to keep getting their words out. That's the least we can do. That's the least we can try to do, along with dua. And may Allah faraj min andu, who is he is the source of protection. And may Allah forgive us and forgive our weakness and our transgression, and forgive us
Ameen.
for everything,
Ameen.
and try to accept us. And may Allah accept us.
Ameen.
Yeah.
Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakum Allah khair. Jazakum Allah khair.
Wa alaikum
Thank you
Alaikum
so much.
salam wa rahmatullah. You're always
Assalamu
welcome,
alaikum wa
Sister
rahmatullahi wa
Marwa.
barakatuh.
Keep strong,
Assalamu
inshallah. Barakallahu fik.
alaikum.
Hello,
Brother,
brother.
Brother Abi, you've been so quiet. You've been so quiet. Uh,
Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Brother, all I can say is this, and this is true what Sister Marwa said, and whatever Brother Mustafa has been saying as well, and whatever we've all been discussing. This is a test for the Ummah. This is a massive, massive, major test for the entire Ummah. And this is something that we as the Ummah need to realize, that this is not just happening to the people of Palestine. This is happening to us all. Because if we do not connect ourselves to the people of Palestine, then we are disconnected to our Iman, we are disconnected with Allah, we are disconnected with the entire message of our Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is so important for us all to understand that Allah has given us individual strengths in many ways, either to speak, to talk, to have beautiful words, or to do action. And these are things that we must use and utilize, so that, look, life has made it very difficult for us right now to leave this country in order for us to even step into Palestine to help our families. But we have many other ways of helping. Number one, Sister Marwa mentioned the power of dua. Subhanallah. We've always discussed this, and the power of dua is massive, it's enormous, and we must never, ever, ever stop doing the dua for our brothers and sisters and our families in Palestine. And another thing is that our iman must never ever weaken. We must never fear this dunya. This dunya is a stepping stone for us. But there are many of us who fear the loss of the dunya that is in our life. And we mustn't fear that. We mustn't allow these people to intimidate us as Muslims. Must never allow this to happen. Otherwise, we walk on the wrong path. And Allah will not forgive us for walking on this wrong path. Because at the end of it, He's going to ask us, like you asked earlier, what did you do? Did you at least pray for them? Did you at least voice your words? Did you at least say something? If you couldn't do action, did you not use your zuban, your tongue, your mouth, your words? Or are you going to be the weakling or the weak person who just keeps everything in their heart and mind and just speaks from there silently? Because that is the worst. Allah has given us this opportunity. We have social media in our lives in every way. Yes, I know there's a lot of restrictions on there or coming upon us very quickly, but we can still utilize social media to the best of our abilities to create this awareness, to create the knowing as to what's happening. There's a lot of it. So we must utilize it, people, and don't allow people to intimidate you. And the other thing is as well, as Brother Mustafa's example, very fine example, subhanallah, was to stay calm. Don't allow these people to get you angry and rowdy, because they will use that as if the Muslim Ummah are these people. So please stay calm, cool, and collective as much as possible, and trying to answer any question. If you know that you are getting angry, rather keep your mouth closed and say Assalamu alaikum and walk away. Then rather create an image to the world that this is who we are when we're not. So, Alhamdulillah, stay strong, everybody. And I just want to say a few words for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Subhanallah, Ya Allahu Rabbul Alameen. May Allah grant them the greatest of strength, the greatest of Iman, the greatest of Sabr, inshallah ta'ala, with whatever is happening there. And may Allah allow them and grant them the power to rise again tomorrow morning, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah grant them this power to rise every single day, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala.
Ameen. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Really typical Abi. Just have to add the cherry on the cake at the end to make it to make the waters run. I mean, it is what you said, subhanallah. The dua is the most powerful of all. But don't forget, you're going to be asked by Allah.
Yes.
Subhanallah. Great input for everyone who participated, whether in the chat or whether on the panel. MashaAllah. At least this is what you'll be able to tell Allah, that you did at least.
Absolutely. We did at
So
least, nah? We did the least.
exactly.
Subhanallah. At least
Exactly.
we're trying to do something.
As long as you can reply, I did my best.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. I mean,
Alhamdulillah.
we have to khair, inshallah. First of all, start by subscribing to this channel. I keep like, this is not asking you, this is again something that you'll be able to put front. At least I made a difference in the algorithms that maybe reaches someone else who could help someone else who could help someone else. Subhanallah, how easy is it? Like this, share this stream, this, like those who don't want to see or share this with others, which side are you on, really?
Yes.
Right?
You must ask
Astaghfirullah.
yourself that question.
Yeah. So this is mashallah, beautiful channel with beautiful people, mashallah, from all over the world. We had the honor from having from them from all over the world, and let's just keep calm, make dua and pray for our brothers and sisters in humanity, in the world. And Allah is the all just, and Allah is the all knowing, and Allah is the best of planners. We have to trust, but we have to first tie our camel, and then and then and then just rely on words. Well, I'm gonna say thank you so much, brother Abi, and everyone else. Very, very, very touching, and hope hope it waked up some people. It did me more and more, and I will say, Jazakallahu khairan, and may Allah grant us uh, more a louder voice to help, to support, and to share. And no, this is not going to be a victory for the oppressors, because that's never going to happen. Allah is always, truth will always prevail. And sabar, patience. Allahumma sabirin. Allah is with the patient. So jazakallahu khairan, brothers and sisters. Thank you, and hope to see you all on the next time, inshallah. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.